So uh, I think she has already seen the introduction video which we had, and she has seen the stuffs we discussed in the first session. That's the introduction session to Android. That was the introduction session. So today we are going to get into a little more detailed uh, look into the whole Android programming system, and we are going to look into a little bit of code which with which we are going to develop the future big codes and big applications right way. So basically I'm going to start off with the slides now. So so first of all, this we have already discussed the last day. So I'll just want to give you a nutshell idea about what we discussed the last day, just a recap kind of. So first of all, we discussed about this Open Handset Alliance led by Google. Basically, this is kind of a product quality control, I would say, that as you know that there are a number of companies today producing Android devices like Samsung, LG, Sony, Moto, and we have a few more and many new companies joining the league as well. So we are having a varied number of companies developing varied models of handsets using Android operating system. So basically Google plan to create Open Handset Alliance with a number of employees of these different organizations such that they can make a mutual understanding among themselves, and they can at least control the quality of a particular device. Like they won't be putting in something which is like quite vague to Android, or which you know will never be accepted by other handsets. So everything will be under control. More or less the same features will be available in all the handsets designed by different companies. So then the second point we have that the software platform that provides a framework to develop applications for mobile devices. Yes, Android is the operating system like which is used in mobile devices. And obviously we are creating applications for this platform, and so this apps will be available in all the mobile devices which are having this Android operating system. Okay, it includes an OS, middleware, and key applications. So basically there are three layers which are present in the architecture of Android. The base system is the Linux kernel. Like we have the hardware, and on top of that the first layer which comes is the Linux kernel. So basically this kernel contains all the drivers and all the other functionalities that is required to communicate with the hardware of the mobile device. And on top of this kernel we have the middleware, we have the libraries with the help of which we can execute these applications and the back-end processes. And we also have the DVM, that is the Dalvik virtual machine, which is just what would I say, sibling of JVM, but obviously more memory efficient and smaller in size and faster. And we have that DVM also inside the middleware, and on top of the middleware we have the key applications, like whatever apps we can see in the device, like for example your contact application, your Gmail application, your Google Map application, or any other application which you make are like in this layer, in the top layer, which is called the applications layer, right? And at the end we have this layer platform built on Linux kernel. So as I was discussing, the Linux is the base of this Android operating system, and basically we all know that Android is open source. So open source means that we don't have to pay for a license in order to develop using Android, and in the same way Linux is also open source. We don't have to pay for a license to use Linux. So in this way, to keep Android platform independent and to keep Android cross platform and open source, the basic kernel which is used in Android is Linux. So if you have any queries with this first slide, you can ask me. You can write down in the chat window also if you have any queries. Okay, I think I can proceed to the next slide. Okay, so right now we can see a handful of devices which are powered with Android nowadays. We are already aware of the mobile phones and the tablets which are powered with Android operating system. Next, we can see in the picture that there is a refrigerator. Now this is a future innovation which we can see over here.
Sorry, Abhijit, student is asking a query. What is a DVM?
What is DVM? Yeah.
What is DVM?
Yeah. Basically, what I wrote in the chat window is DVM, that is the Dalvik Virtual Machine, and the full form of DVM is Dalvik Virtual Machine. Basically, this is an environment. This is an environment in which the bytecode is executed. Now, as I think you have some basic knowledge of Java, so you know that in Java we have this JVM kind of concept. Now, every Java class file is compiled into a bytecode. The bytecode is executed via this JVM and you can see the output on the screen. In the same way, in case of Android, we do not have the JVM. In place of JVM, we have this DVM. Now the DVM, now any Java class file is converted into the bytecode, but the bytecode has a different extension called the DEX extension. Now that is a little smaller than the standard bytecode file which we have, and this DVM is used to run or execute this .dex bytecode files. Now basically that is faster and more memory efficient than whatever we have by using JVM. So basically we all know that mobile devices are small, having smaller processors and less powerful processing speed. So what we want to do is we want to execute the applications in a faster space and without losing much on the memory. So that is why this DVM is designed to substitute JVM in case of Android. So I guess I could make myself clear. If you still have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, I'm proceeding. So basically over here you can see the devices which are powered with Android. So as I was already discussing, this refrigerator which you can see over here is a future development. Like in near future, this refrigerator might be using Android as the operating system for this device. And we can already see this thing which has come up in the market. This is called the Android Gear. Like many manufacturers like Sony and Samsung have already manufactured gears. Even Motorola have come up with a very good gear called Moto 360. And this is a normal music system. You can see in future, we are also planning to have this music system operated by an Android operating system. These Google glasses have already appeared in the market. This is also kind of gear, and this particular product is also powered with Android operating system. On beside the glasses, you can see this gaming console. Basically, this is the photograph of a gaming console. Now, in future, we are even planning to design the gaming consoles with Android. Right now, they are more or less designed on Java platforms. But yes, if we switch over to Android, it will be easier to maintain, and you can always download applications from the Play Store. In the same way, we are going to have this Google TV very soon. This is called a smart TV, which will be powered by Android operating system, and you can download and use any application from the internet on this television. In the same way, we already have the Galaxy cameras in the market, and Samsung has already launched 1 or 2 cameras using Android operating system, but in near future, most of the cameras are going to use Android operating system, even the digital SLR cameras. So basically, we are trying to revolutionize the use of this Android operating system into more and more daily use devices, So the market of Android is growing and it's booming, and a lot of employment in the field of Android software development is going to come up in the future. Okay, then we're going on to the next slide, and here we are going to discuss about some of the features of Android. So basically, you can see that Android's UI include the windows, the views, and the widgets. So now, what are the windows, the views, and the widgets? Widgets, if you are using an Android device, you know that many applications have simple widgets which you can just put on the screen to see some data from the application. For example, you have a weather widget. Now, what does the weather widget do? The weather widget gives you an update of the weather of a particular area, right? In the same way, you can see the widgets of this Quick Buzz application and all, which gives you updated cricket scores, right? And things like that. You also have widgets for the newspaper or news applications, I would say, right? So those are the things which comes under the widget section. Then you have the windows. Now, windows are basically, you can see that there are different windows. Suppose you are using 2 applications simultaneously. Both the applications are open up in your phone, but you are switching over the applications. You are switching over to the applications like in some time. Now, basically, these are running in 2 different windows, and this is basically multitasking which we are having. And then we have the views. Now, these views are related to one particular application. One application can have a number of views, a number of screens, a number of layouts, a number of ways to display things to the user. So basically, this is how a complete UI of Android looks like, along with these windows, views, and widgets. It's a complete package. Then we can see that Android provides an integrated browser engine WebKit. Now, what is this browser engine WebKit? Basically, we all know that all mobile devices have a browser. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, go on, continue.
Okay, I just saw a pop-up window. I don't know, like maybe. Yeah, okay. So we continue. Basically, we have this integrated browser engine WebKit. Now, basically, this browser engine helps us to browse the web pages. We can see the different websites or browse the internet using this browser engine WebKit. Even there is an extension for this browser engine WebKit which is called the Web View, which we use in our application. Now that we'll discuss later in depth, but for now I'll just let you know that a web view is a particular kind of a view which can be used inside an application to show a website to the user. And then we have the connectivities. We have connectivities to the devices like the Wi-Fi, and we have the GPRS, Bluetooth, Edge, 3G. Now basically all these names, if you have heard, these are wireless communication protocols. Wi-Fi is used to connect to the internet. It is basically a chip which is present inside your handset and which helps you to connect to a Wi-Fi router, and via the router you can browse the internet. GPRS is the technology along with which comes your 3G and 4G internet connectivity. So basically this is dependent on the SIM card of your mobile, excuse me. Then you have the Bluetooth. Bluetooth, again, you know, it's a wireless communication mode. You can use a Bluetooth chip to connect to your to any other device, and you can transfer data between the two devices. You can also use Bluetooth to browse internet using this tethering functionality which is present in Android devices. Edge is again internet connectivity which is concerned with your SIM card, and this particularly refers to the 2G connectivity. And 3G we all know, as it all comes under the category of GPRS. And then you have the SQLite for structured data storage. Now with the advancement of this mobile applications, requirements for local data has also grown. Like suppose you have created an application which saves some user data. Now you have a server which accepts the data from the user and keeps it stored for long time. But for example, like if the user is using the application and doesn't have an internet connection, so you would rather try to keep the data which has been inserted by the user into a local database, and later when the user gets this internet connectivity, he can just upload the data to the server. So in this way you can maintain a more or less robust database using SQLite inside the mobile device itself, and you can very well keep data, and you can even query relationships out of that local database, and you can update the web server whenever you think is the appropriate time to do. Then you have this supports GSM telephony, media, camera, compass, accelerometer. Now you know that these particular GSM telephony is the support for SIM cards into your device. And then you have this media, that means you have these media players like the MX player, VLC player, etc. applications. You have camera, we all know we use this camera feature of the mobile a lot nowadays. We have compass and even compass applications. Basically the mobile devices are made with magnets which are quite accurate and which can help you to use your telephone as a compass if you require that. And then you have this accelerometer. Accelerometer is used for this gaming concepts. In modern gaming concepts, you have seen that the car racing and all can be done with tilting the mobile device left and right, and that is all due to the accelerometer you have inside your mobile device. It is more related to the gravity sensing, and provides 2D and 3D graphics with OpenGL. So now we have this 3D games coming up. More or less the games which you can see in Android market look similar to the desktop games, and all the characters in the games are 3D. So basically OpenGL is a graphical representation of the games in 3D mode and 2D as well. Okay, so then we go on to this design philosophy of Android. So design philosophy means the way we like have designed the Android operating system. Like what are the key points of Android operating system which has made it such unique product in the market. Firstly, it has small footprints. Now small footprints means that it is that much memory efficient that it can handle small operations in very less time, and it is it keeps on clearing all the background tasks and keeping the operating system as much free as possible. It keeps on clearing the RAM, and it keeps on clearing the cache automatically and keeping the system running and keeping the system more efficient. Then you have power efficiency. Yes, we need this very much because in normal computer devices we can run the device directly on electricity, and we do not carry the device around. So basically power efficiency is more needed in these mobile devices where you charge once a day and you want to use it throughout the day, and power efficiency is very much required. If you want to use applications like GPS and Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all these applications are quite battery drainers, and they might like cause your phone to slow down and heat up very fast. So power efficiency is very much required in any microprocessing units like what we have in mobile phones nowadays. Multitasking, obviously every device is multitasking. You can run simultaneously 0 to 5, 6 apps in one point of time, and this multitasking capacity increases with the kind of processor you are having inside your mobile device, and the higher priced devices are always having higher hardware what would I say, features which are very rich in multitasking. And then we have the minimal startup time. No one wants to hold the power button of a mobile device for 5-10 minutes and he sees the device start up slowly. That's kind of weird. So people won't use that kind of a device. So basically Android has tried to keep this startup time to minimal, and it's kind of very fast, and the device starts up once and then it keeps on doing certain things in backgrounds which at least doesn't stop the users from using the device. Then we have quick response to user activity. Now suppose you have a device which doesn't respond to what you are doing to it, then obviously you will just want to throw away the device. So this quick user response is again very much important, and we should always try and make the devices as much responsive as possible. Even while creating apps, we should try to keep things in mind, like we should not make the users wait very much. We should not make the users look at a same thing for a very long time. So we should make the applications even as much responsive as possible. And supports multiple screen resolutions. We know that nowadays Android has come up with a number of devices. There are 1,000 different handsets in the market of different mobile manufacturing brands, and most of them have different resolutions. This is again a good and bad thing for the developers, because like when you get into this development more and more, you will come to know that how many different types of graphic sets we need to integrate into the application in order to support as many devices as possible for different manufacturers. So It is good in one way. It has made it more available to users. You get cheap devices and you get very expensive devices, but again it's sometimes difficult for the developers for this varied kind of devices with varied kind of resolutions. Then you have memory protection. Now memory protection means that whatever data you keep inside your device needs to be safe from the outside world, needs to be safe from the hackers, needs to be safe from the intruders. So basically Android has devised some of the encryption methods with which they keep your data safe inside your device and tries to protect it from the external attacks from the hackers or the phishers. And extensible, yes, it's always extensible. We can extend these features of Android and we can go ahead with it. You know that right now we have already extended the features. We can integrate the smartwatches along with our mobile devices, or we can just use the smartwatch for some time without using our mobile devices at all. So this kind of extensible usage of Android features are very important, and Android have integrated all these things to make it more popular to the users. So if you are having any questions, you can ask me. We have already come across quite a lot. So if you have any questions, ask me. I'll be happy to answer them, and then we can proceed. Okay, so going back to the slides. Okay, so going back to the slides, what we have over here, this is the platform's roadmap which we can see. Now platform's roadmap means the way we have evolved. Like today we have come up to Lollipop, you know, it's Android 5.0. So we have come up to this stage from a very small, what would I say, from a very small and very less efficient operating system. The first operating system which was released in 2008 for the public was Cupcake. Now this Cupcake operating system was used in the first generation Android devices, and it was like kind of a substitute of Symbian, I would say. Like it would only let you use the device, browse the internet and do very basic functions, but not as varied as what we can do today. Then in 2009 Donut came up. With Donut the number of functionalities were improved, right, and this voice input methods were integrated. Then came up the Eclair. Eclair was again a little bit of more improvement on top of Donut, along with bug fixing and trying to make the OS as supple as possible. Then came up the Froyo, and in 2010, later 2010, we got the Gingerbread. Now this Gingerbread was very popular in the market. It was very popular till Ice Cream Sandwich and Jelly Bean came out. In fact, even now we can find Gingerbread devices in the market which gets upgraded to any other operating system once unboxed, but we can still get devices using Gingerbread. And Gingerbread was one of the most successful operating systems which Android had released in the market. Then came up the Honeycomb in 2011. Now Honeycomb was not very popular because it mostly focused on tablet users and tablet devices. Now Honeycomb was not that much into the market, and gingerbread still held the market widely. Then came up this ice cream sandwich, and ice cream sandwich introduced a completely different UI to the users, different concept of themes, the hollow dark and hollow light themes, which we can see with the applications, modern applications, were first released in ice cream sandwich. And then came up the jelly bean, which was a little more advanced than ice cream sandwich, with a lot more efficiency in multitasking and multi-threading capabilities. Then we have the KitKat. The KitKat was Android 4.4, and it was again more advanced and more fast and more feature rich, along with voice inputs and robust, and with all 3D gaming capabilities, everything inside it, a colorful box, I would say. And now we have the Lollipop update rolling out for a number of devices, and many users have already received this Lollipop update. And again, Lollipop is better than what we had for KitKat, right? So it is getting better and bigger with time. Okay, now we'll just take a look at the market share of the OS. And this is basically a study of the different smartphone operating systems we have in the market right now. So if you look at the chart and the figures below it, you can see that Android is 84.4% popular in the market, and it has grown up to from 81.2 in 2013. So you can see that the market of Android is always growing, and with this boom share of 84.4%, then we can see that the iOS has 11.7% share in the market, which has gone down by 1% in 2014. So then we have the Windows Phone. Windows Phone has again gone down by 1%. We have the BlackBerry, which is more or less not in the market anymore, and like it is kind of an obsolete operating system right now, BlackBerry. And there are some other operating systems, like you have the Bada OS of Samsung, and you have the Symbian for from Nokia. So all these operating systems have a very minimal share in the market of 0.6%. So from the figures, you can clearly understand that if you look into a career which has to do anything with Android, you will be at the top. Okay, then we'll go on to this vendor market share to again give you some idea about which vendor is manufacturing what product and what share it is having in the market. So you can see that Samsung's market share has gone down in 2014 than it was in 2013. Now basically, why do you think something like that happened? This happened because Samsung was the #1 manufacturer of smartphones in the world using Android operating system, but in current market, due to having a huge lot of sale, Samsung planned a business strategy in which it used to manufacture devices which are more expensive and having less hardware capabilities. So basically, people tend to switch over from Samsung to any other manufacturer in the market because there are many others which provide handsets at par quality with Samsung, but at very less cost than Samsung, I would say. After Samsung, you can see Apple. So Samsung is more or less twice as big as Apple in the case of market share. Then you can see the Xiaomi. Xiaomi phones are new in the market, so but they are the #3 mobile manufacturing company in 2014, and basically Xiaomi has produced some handsets which are very good, very efficient, very powerful, and very inexpensive. Then you have other manufacturers like Lenovo, LG and others. But so basically the shipment of Android devices are always higher than any other devices which you can see in the market. Then we'll just go through the statistic once more. The smartphone market grew 27.2% year over year in 2014. So in 1 year, the total growth of smartphone market was 27.2%. Then you have in 2014, nearly 1.3 billion shipments. So can you just imagine 1.3 billion new devices produced in 2014, new smartphone devices. So how much more people are getting into the smartphone network is like quite amazing. Then you have Samsung is the only top 5 company which had negative change. We had already seen in the last slide that Samsung's growth has come down by quite some percentage in one year. Then you have Apple had its largest Q3 volume sale. Apple has grown on the other hand. Apple has launched this iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus in 2015, which has improved sales for Apple a little in the year 2015. And we have already checked the statistics for Xiaomi, so I don't have to say anything else about Xiaomi. But Xiaomi is the third largest smartphone manufacturing company in the world right now. So now we have some slides which deals with this Android Studio, but rather I would like to take you to Eclipse like the way I did it in the introduction section as well. So I'll just give you a demo on Eclipse with some of the functionalities which were not shown on the last day. So these things we have already discussed about creating the AVD manager and updating the SDK and everything. So if you have any queries regarding the same in the previous section, you can ask me. If you have missed something while you had seen the introduction video, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll just switch over to Eclipse and I'll show you some simple code handling with Android and a few small controls. I will show you how to use them. So if you have any queries, you can ask me, or else I will proceed. Then we'll just proceed. So basically, now I'll just show you the Android project structure first. So you can see over here on the right hand there is the demo, like a screenshot from Android Studio, but the same thing I'll show you in Eclipse. We use more of Eclipse than Android Studio in real life development now. And we have this folder called Java folder which contains the source files. Now source files means, see, this is a test project, and inside the test project we have this is the folder structure which we are having. Now if you tally it along with your slide, you can see that there is a folder called Java in here which contains the package called com.example.myapp, and inside that you have this activity. In case of Eclipse, it's a little different. We call this folder as not Java but SRC. Inside SRC you can see the company name, or basically the application package name which we are going to declare, and inside the package you can see the Java class which resides. So here this is the Java class main activity, and in my case the Java class is first activity, right? So it's all the same. Then what do you have? You have the RES folder which contains non-code resources such as images. So basically here is the RES folder, and inside the RES folder you can see that there are folders called HDPI, LDPI, MDPI, XHDPI and XXHDPI. Now basically these are the folders which will contain the images which are required in the application. Like suppose you have a background, you have a button background, you have a text box, you have something else, like whatever images the designer have made for you and you want to design your application with, those images are going to come into these folders, and you can just use those images and like show them in the application, and basically these folders will auto identify the size of this Android device screen and show the particular graphic content. For example, suppose I have a XXHDPI device, any modern device like say Samsung Galaxy S6, S5, all these devices have XXHDPI screens. Even Sony Xperia Z series, everything has XXHDPI screen. And if I have an application where I have images made for this XXHDPI screen, I'm going to put those images inside the XXHDPI folder, and when the application opens itself, it will automatically take out the graphic contents from this XXHDPI folder and display it on the screen. So you can show different size of images for different devices, and the user can easily use them according. The user don't have to bother about which graphic is being showed, but he will be able to see the whole of the screen in any size of device, you know. So okay, then what we have, then we have the Gradle scripts that contain the building scripts used internally. So basically these are the Gradle scripts. Now the Gradle scripts are not exposed in Eclipse, they are inside the whole project structure, but there are many scripts which are used, like these value scripts, and you have the menu scripts, and you have the layout scripts, not the layout ones, but the menus and the value scripts. These are used internally by the project to display the output to the user. Then what we have, then we have the manifest. Now what is the manifest? I have already discussed this last day, but just a short recap on what is manifest. The manifest is an XML file which contains the whole structure of the application. It is the file inside which the activities are defined. It is the file inside which the broadcast receivers are defined, the other dependent classes are defined, permissions from the users are taken, like the internet permission, the GPS permission, the mobile calling permission. All these things are integrated inside the manifest. So I'll just show you the sample manifest file which is created for the application. Like this is basically how it looks like, and this doesn't contain any permissions as of such at this stage, because we are not using any kind of complicated features right now. But you can see that it has got a manifest tag. Inside that it has the SDK tag. It has the minimum SDK version, that is Android 8. Now what is Android 8? Here you have the API levels, like 8 is basically Froyo. So this is my minimum build version. That means my application can run on Froyo operating system as the lowest one, and the highest is 19. Now what does 19 come up to? I'll just show you. 19 is KitKat. So I do not have the SDK for Lollipop as of yet on my laptop. So that's why I can only see till KitKat. But if you have the SDK for laptop as well, for Lollipop as well in your machine, you can easily put this up to 20, right? Then what we have, then we have the application tag. Inside the application tag, what we have the icon for the application, the theme of the application name, and then we have this activity tag. This activity tag is the tag inside which the different screens for the application are defined. Excuse me. Okay, so it is defined. So we have only one activity for now, which is called the first activity, and that is already defined under the activity tag. And as we have this only one activity, so we have an intent filter for it, and I have mentioned this at the launcher activity. So basically this is the main and the launcher activity. So this is the one and only activity present in the whole application. If you have multiple activities, you can make any one or multiple activities. Like you can make only one activity as a launcher activity, but you can define other activities as main activity as well. So that will come to later once we are more into the thing. Okay. So going back to the slide, what we have next, we have this Debug debug monitor system. So I have already told you about Debug virtual machine. So basically using this virtual machine, we can like while running an application inside the virtual machine, we can debug the application as well using this virtual machine. So basically first I will I would like you to look at this log functionality, which you can see over here. What this log functionality actually do is it can show you some data which is obtained from the application. So basically even if you do not want to show the user anything, or if you do not want to notify the user about anything, you can still log something for yourself to see it inside the IDE itself, that whether your particular function is working properly or not. I'll just show you a demo for that. So I'll just run this application once. So I have already discussed about running a new application and everything in the first introductory session. So I have two devices in my IDE. One is a virtual device, that is this Genymotion LG Optimus. This is the device name and this is the resolution of the device, which is 24320. That means it is an LDPI device. And it has this target as 4.1.1, so it's a Jelly Bean operating system. And I also have my personal S4 device, which is having this Lollipop operating system inside it. So basically I'll be showing you this Genymotion LG emulator, because you will be able to see it on screen right now. Now it is launching the application. You can see that it's written over here, and here is the application which is turned up. Now you can see that it's just a replica of the mobile phones which we use. We have all the standard buttons over here, the back button, and excuse me, we have the home buttons and everything over here. So first I told you to look at the log functionality. Now in my activity, in my class, in this particular class, what I have is I have written something as hello world, right? And I have just declared a string variable called tag, and inside that I have written hello world. And just avoid these things for right now. Don't look at these things, okay? Don't look at these things. Just concentrate on log. Log, I have written log.e. The full form of log.e is error. Now don't be surprised, this doesn't mean that I am trying to create an error, but this is just the highlighting color which I want for my log. Now if I put it as E, it will turn up in the console as red, so it will be easier for me to read. So that's why I put it up as E, but you can put it up as D or anything else you can, if you want to. So it just shows the message in the log. So right now I'll show you how the message has come up in the log. See, hello world, this is the tag, and it says method invoked at, this is the GMT time which I'm getting, right? Today is April 4th and it's 4:42 right now according to the GMT, right? So basically this data is getting displayed from here, method invoked at and this new date function and converting the new date to string. Now I'll just run the application once more and then clear out the log for you to see that how this thing turns out. See, everything is clear. I go on to the application. I have to go out of the application once and then I have to come back into the application. So I just go out. See, I again clear out the log and I'll just start the application. Here is the test first application. You can see the name over here, test first application, and this is that particular application. I'll just click over here and see this log has come up saying hello world, and it says method invoked, and this is the GMT time which we are having. So basically this is the log functionality, and this is what we have discussed in the slide. This is how the functionality is shown. So you will see that the requirement of logging data is very often in real life. Like I personally keep on logging data every time when I want to see the output before showing it to the user. So basically if everything is good, then only I try to display the output to the user, but first I try to do a log of what the output is actually. So this is how log comes into the play. Okay, so I'm going on to the next slide. Basically this is the development procedure which we are having, the step-by-step development procedure. First we have the Android API. So what is the Android API? Android API is the application programming interface which we have. So that means the IDE which I showed you right now, this Eclipse and all the tools inside it forms the Android API. Now along with this Android API, we have to use a programming language for developing. The programming language is mostly Java, but it can be C or C++ sometimes if you need to use any native functionality. For that we can use the NDK for compiling, but mostly people use Java. They don't go for C or C++ for Android development. Then we have the data handling. I have already discussed about this SQLite database today earlier, but just to again give you a recap, it's basically a data storage unit for the application locally. So that is why we use this SQLite database, and we have the test sign and package. So basically we have the AAPT, that is Android Asset Packaging Tool. Basically once the application is prepared and the DVM runs the application, then you will see that a .apk file is generated, and this .apk file, like for our project also, this .apk file has already been generated. I'll just try to show you if I can find that, just a second. Yeah, you can see it over here, test first application APK. So this is like the .exe file for a normal desktop application, and if you just copy and paste this .apk file inside your mobile device, and you have this permission of installing external applications to your mobile device, then you can easily install this application just the way you install application from Google Play. And you can directly test out that application before publishing it into the market. And once everything is done and the APK is produced, we just have to upload the APK to the Google Play Store or Amazon or any other app store you feel like. Now that is called the publishing. So this is the steps these are the steps which are followed while developing the application, right? So now going on to the next slide, I'll just give you a little more introduction about some other features of Android. Okay. I'll just put the conference on mute for a little bit. I'm getting I'll just give you the link. I'll get it over here. I'll just show you. So,
Okay. So
no, this is Android Studio, so don't download this. We are not going to follow this. Okay. So I just give. This is not that.
okay, Eclipse downloads.
Not sure whether it's the same or not. I'll just have to take a look, because right now Google is more marketing this this thing, Android Studio, but the developers are not yet that much into using Android Studio right now.
Okay.
So here you have this link also.
Okay.
Uh,
We'll have a mail. We'll have a mail on this, and I'll just go down and I'll share the things to the students. Let them download from their end. So Aska is back. Let's start the session.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So we are going back to the slides and ID as well. So basically, first we are going to discuss about the views and the UI elements of Android. So these are the common UI elements which we all know that it is required for application development. First is a button, which is very important, you know. Then we have elements like text view. Now text view, you know what is a text view. It is used like in web terms, we call it a label. We put some text into it and the users can see that text. Then you have this edit text. Edit text is nothing but the normal text boxes. And you have the list views. List views are the views which contains the continuous lists. Like if you are using this Facebook application or the Gmail application, you can see that you can scroll down the list to see your emails or the posts from your friends. Those are all like modified list views. Then you have the checkboxes, the normal checkboxes, you know. It's also common in web development. Radio buttons. Spinner over here does not mean that round thing you see going round and round while loading some data in the application. That is basically a progress bar. A spinner is nothing but a normal drop-down item. A normal drop-down view is called a spinner in Android. And you have the image views. Image views are the controls which are used to display some image to the users. Now a view can be customized by setting its properties at the time of declaration in the layout XML file. So basically there are some properties which you can describe for a view. Suppose you can put down a fixed width for a particular view, a fixed height for a particular view. You can put down the whether the view will be centered or left or right. You can do that. And we can provide ID to a view to be able to manipulate it using the Java code. Basically every UI control should have an ID associated with it, and we are going to use that ID inside our class, inside our Java class, to refer to that particular control. Okay, so I'll just show you a sample code along with it. I have already done something over here. So previously I told you to not to look at this text view and the button, but right now I'm telling you to look at both of them. So this is basically the text view. These are the two components which we have. One is the graphical layout and another one is the XML layout. The graphical layout is this particular code as it will be shown to the users. This is the graphics of it. And this is nothing but the XML of the same thing. Now here I have a text view and a button. Now what is the text view? This one is the text view and this one is the button. Now the text view has an ID associated with it, as we have already discussed. We have a width, we have a height. I have mentioned it is a center horizontal and center. That means this text view will come in the center of the screen, which you can see it has come to. This is center in breadth-wise as well as length-wise. It is in the center. And below that I have this button. This is a normal simple button. Along again for the button I have an ID, width, height, etc. along with it, right? So now I'll just show you how I associate this particular object, this particular text view inside my class. Now this is my class. Here I have declared the text view and the button. Now this is just an object of the text view class and just an object of the button class. Now I will associate this particular object to the layout object over here. Now see, text view, this is the syntax which I have to put down, and this r.id.textView. This text view refers to this particular text view. So suppose I hold control and I hover over here and I can click on any of these options, say open declaration in layout. If I click over here, you will see that it directly points to this layout. So this is particularly this text box, this text view which I have declared in my layout. So I just have to declare these two buttons and text views over here and just associate it with the layout, and then I can set the text of this text view to anything I feel like, right? So in the text view already has a text in the first go which says hello world, but I have changed the text over here and now it says hello world and it shows the date and time. Now if you look at the application, you can see it shows hello world, then it gives a line break which is for /n, a new line, and then we have this particular Saturday, April, this and that. This is basically the GMT time which we are having. This new date function toString is showing the time, and below that I have that old log of mine which I have already explained to you. Okay, so this is how the text view is handled, and that is what is more or less written in the slide. See, I have already shown you these properties, the width, the height, the text, and the ID, right? I don't think you have any problems with this. If you have, you can always ask me. I'll be happy to answer you. I'll go on to the next slide for now. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay. What is R in ID? Okay, R.id. R is referred to the resource file. Like I have already discussed about the res folder. Look over here. This has the res. This is the res folder. Now this R refers to the resource. That means this res. This res has a short form of R, and the ID is the ID of the particular control which I want to use. Understood? Resource.id of the resource, and then I put into it the name of the resource. Okay, that's cool. I'm proceeding. Okay, so here you can see a normal text view which I have already shown you. This is just the same thing pasted into the slide, right? So I am not going more into this. Rather, I would like to show you something more interesting. This is again, you can see that adding some text to the text view, set text, which I have already shown you over here, text view.setText. This is how I do it, and this is shown in the slide as well. So this is all similar. And then we have this button. So basically I'll just show you this on-click method, which will always be interesting. Just declaring a button and not using it is kind of weird. So at least it's a good thing to know how to access the on-click of the button. So basically you can see that I have declared the button over here, and the button has an ID of button. So over here I have button with the its button, and then I have to declare an on-click listener for this button object, and you can see that this is the syntax which is used for this on-click listener. So I didn't do much for right now. I just put up a toast message which says this is my first button when you click on the button. So if you take a look over here, you can see I'm clicking on the button and see this is my first button. This text shows up. Now that is a toast message which I have shown, and this is what I have to do for a simple button in order to show the text message. So if you want, I can send over this project to you once, so you can just take a look at how it is done. I'll just send this project zipped to you, and you can unzip it and you can just import the project. You can like first download this IDE, go to files, click on import, and you can expand this Android section, click on existing Android code into workspace, click on next. You can browse to the place wherever you download the project, and when you find it, you can directly select the project in here and click on finish, and you'll be able to see the project in your workspace, and you'll be able to play around with it. And if you come across anything which you don't understand, you can always ask me today or in the next class anytime. So right now, like this is what, like these are the slides which I had for today, and again if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer you. And if you want to ask me anything about how to use this Eclipse ID or where to get it, I'll be providing you with a link from where you can download your ID and you can set up it in your system and just create a sample project and at least take a look of what we did today. You can always, this video is getting recorded, you can always come back to this video and check out whatever I have made you, whatever I had discussed in this class, and you can get back to me if you have any queries anytime you feel like, right? I'll be very happy to answer your questions. So if you have anything to ask, you can ask me right now, or I'll be just sending over the project to you. Okay, so did you feel good about this class? Did you understand the way I explained to you? Are you happy with the way we discuss the things? Okay, okay, happy to hear that, happy to hear that. And I hope that you'll be able to set things up in this weekend, and you'll be able to run some applications and fun creating some new programs with Android, and we can come back next day and we can discuss this over, and if you have any queries we can again have a good discussion on that, right? So it was nice talking to you. It was nice having a session with you.
Thanks, Mr. Abhideep. We'll meet for next time, okay?
Okay, okay. And Chandra,
Yes.
you can just share that download link, like whatever I showed you today with her,
Yeah.
and she can set up her machine and do some
Yeah.
practical.
And whatever the material you are saying, like you can zip it and send it
Yeah,
to my email ID.
yes,
I'll be sharing with students.
yes.
Okay?
I'll just send this project to you, and you just send it over to the students. Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Aksa ma'am, I'll take care of download and everything. I'll give you the complete infrastructure on that. Okay. So thanks for now, and have a good day and have a good weekend. Take care and bye bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.